no longer invincible. Military defeats in the war against Ukraine have turned out to be serious reputation losses for Putin, not only among the Russian society, whose credit has fallen due to the mobilization, but also among the inner circle, the Kremlin elite, who had served Putin's regime for decades.
The loss in the war in Ukraine becomes a tool of internal political struggle in Russia itself. The main task for the post-Putin elites that we can see is to find their place in the world after Putin.
And it is not love for their homeland that moves the Kremlin elite, but the desire to maintain their influence and money flows, to which they have been sucking for decades. The first blow was thrown by almost the closest, the head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, and the oligarch co-owner of the Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Putin helped the first traitor to become a leader of Chechnya. The second one was supplied with the state procurement for food for schools, hospitals and the army. With Putin's help, they made a huge fortune. But then they stabbed Putin in the back by criticizing the Russian Ministry of Defense amid military defeats in Ukraine.
Everyone understands perfectly well that the whole thing is moving towards a military defeat, and a military defeat will weaken Putin. So if everyone doesn't begin to strengthen their authority and resources, they may lose altogether. Because if someone from Putin's entourage takes power, a conditional technocrat or a person more liberal than Putin, then neither Prigozhin nor Kadyrov will have a place in the system.
Kadyrov and Prigozhin are repulsed in the struggle for power by the security forces, the Federal Security Service, intelligence and the army. After all, everyone is trying to make them guilty of a military defeat. But the security forces do not want to share the responsibility for the loss with Putin, their boss. And Putin no longer has such influence to repair the discontent of the Kremlin elites.
The fragmentation of power is already taking place in Russia. Putin no longer controls many processes. The Kharkiv operation has already been held. Also, the summit was held in Samarkand on September 16th, when Putin, in fact, was given an ultimatum from India and China to end the war. So the elites no longer need Putin there. He has already shown he is no longer capable of being a lawyer in the West, just a mediator inside the struggle of political groups, and in fact, no one needs him anymore.
Those who used to be members of the Russian political elite now also talk about Putin's loss of control over his environment. Former oligarch and Russian emigrant Mikhail Khodorkovsky believes that Putin's power can suddenly weaken, and this threatens violent confrontations in Russia itself. After all, the Kremlin's elites will throw all their resources into the struggle for power, mainly the military ones. The scale is easy to imagine. Prigozhin or Kadyrov alone have at least several tens or thousands of loyal militants, not mentioning the state law enforcement agencies. Whether it will be possible to share power peacefully depends on Putin himself.
Maybe Putin will launch some kind of operation successor. If he launches it quickly, he can still influence the future. If he launches it too late, when he no longer influences the political alignment, then there may be a fight for power using private armies, state law enforcement agencies, and this can develop into a serious civil confrontation.
Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Ksenia Barvinenko, UATV News.